I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Mount Pleasant City Commission recognizes the Anishinaabe, whose ancestral lands the city stands upon today. We acknowledge the Saginaw Chippewa Indian tribe and recognize that the three bands of Ojibwe, Saginaw, Black River, and Swan Creek, have resided on this land for over 200 years. Our acknowledgement of the full history of the tribe and our commitment to be good stewards of these ancestral lands is an expression of gratitude and appreciation to those ancestors who came before us. We give thanks to the generous care with which the Anishinaabe and those members of the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe of Michigan have given and continue to give to this land and our community. Clerk Schmelzer, please call the roll.
Commissioner Alsager,
Here.
Commissioner Demarath,
Here.
Commissioner Perschbacher,
Here.
Commissioner Rollins,
Here.
Commissioner Skiletsky,
Here.
Vice Mayor Eke,
Here.
Mayor Wingard.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. All right. At this time, we are going to have Clerk Schmelzer deliver the oath of office to Commissioner Demarath for term expiring December 31st of 2024, or 2028, excuse me, 24.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I
that I, Anna Demmer,
will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the state of Michigan,
the state of Michigan,
and the charter of the city of Mount Pleasant,
and the charter of the city of Mount Pleasant,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of city commissioner
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of city commissioner
on the behalf of all the citizens of the city
on behalf of all the citizens of the city
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Moving into proclamations and presentations this evening. First item, we have a new city commission group photograph. We have tried to schedule it several times and had complications, but I knew we would all be here by 7 p.m. So at this time, if members of the commission would join us in front of the dais, we will get a group photo. Okay. Thank you, members of the commission and members of the public for your patience. Let's see, next item on the agenda, we have a presentation on 2026 goals and objectives by City Manager Aaron DeSense.
Good evening, everyone.
So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown as to the current status for our 2026 goals and objectives. Usually I color code a lot of these things, but as I started to color code them, I realized pretty much all of these are going to be yellow. All of these are still in progress. That's just because of a lot of our goals in 2026 were either project-based, which we knew were going to end at the end of the construction season. So a lot of things you'll see on here as Q4 2026. Also, a lot of it is just taking measurements of different activities that are taking place throughout the year, whether that's leadership development, projects like our meter rotation, those kind of things in which we're trying to get a number for the full year. So I decided not to color code them this time just because otherwise you're just going to have a yellow column. So that said, I'm just going to take us through the goal and very quickly kind of go through it. If we have any questions or anything like that, feel free to yell those out during the presentation here. So first up, and we had categorized a lot of these things around sort of the same focus areas. So we've got infrastructure, facilities, and environmental sustainability. First up, proactively plan and implement infrastructure upgrades and pursue grants to support capital improvements projects. In particular, we're looking at our DWSRF Phase 1 construction project and our Franklin Street reconstruction project. Happy to report that Franklin Street reconstruction has started, and Phase 1 of DWSRF is well underway with major components to start after peak summer demands. Next up, implement the transition to cellular read water meters to improve efficiency and service. Staff has done an excellent job continuing pace with this. 263 meters installed to date. 308 are scheduled of the 900 for the year. Explore redevelopment or other opportunities for the former Mount Pleasant Center property. So this was something that we thought we were going to try to get done earlier this year. City Commission has asked for more information. And so direction was provided at the June 22nd meeting requesting that information. Staff is working on this information and plans a follow-up in Q3 to present that information. Assess appropriate zoning of vacant land at Broomfield and Crawford Roads. This is one, again, we thought we were going to take care of earlier in the year. However, it's just been pushed out due to a number of different things. We do have a public hearing talking about this on August 24th, so more to come. Next, promote environmental awareness and stewardship, particularly around the Chippewa River. In here, we're looking at implementing our goals in the Climate Change Resiliency Plan and designating the Chippewa River as an official water trail. I can state that we currently have 5 of the total 15 goals in progress right now for 2026. That includes renewable energy projects, which is the digester at the WRF, tracking energy usage, water and wastewater plant efficiency planning, and planning for recycling at multifamily housing and commercial properties. As far as our water trail designation, we have missed the mark for applying for that designation for 2026, but that's certainly something we will continue planning for in 2026 with the actual request from the state coming in 2027. Next is advance the food waste project and seek funding for combined heat and power or biogas reuse at the WRF. We do have contracts signed and equipment is being ordered at this time, so we're well on our way to completing that goal. And then address the remaining service life expectancy of AC water mains. We're currently coordinating with the contractor for access. And actually, I believe, Director Moore, correct me if I'm wrong, we're either starting this week or next week. There we go. Fantastic. So
Could you repeat that?
comes soon. So the report will be coming soon. They've actually completed their work already.
Thank you.
Right. Next up, community development and housing. Advance revitalization initiatives along Mission Street with a focus on redevelopment, transportation, and accessibility. This is implementing the goals and objectives of our Mission Street Corridor Improvement Plan. We'll be looking at the number of goals implemented within the plan. We do think that in 2026, about the only goal that we're going to get significant progress on will be on the shared use pathway along Mission Street. We have been awarded a grant and we're moving forward and looking at getting our engineering plans done, which would then mean a construction next year in 2027. Investigate strategies to develop more missing middle housing to meet the needs of moderate income households. So we have a few different projects that we're working on right now. One is 221 West Michigan Street, which is working on a grant through the MEDC to develop a number of townhomes in that on that site. Another one that we're working on is the Spire Development Pilot Project, which was approved by the City Commission in 2023. They continue to apply for MSHDA tax credits, and if they're successful, they would be engaging in a 46-unit development at Walnut and Mill Streets. And then lastly, there is current discussions with Alan Edwin Homes, who is looking at purchasing 15 acres at the Crawford and Broomfield site for the development of 50 to 60 units there. Next up, increased focus on enforcing the International Property Maintenance Code to maintain safe and appealing neighborhoods. This is something that Director Laurie and I have been keeping a close eye on here, and we've started to change some of our tactics in doubling up our officers in areas, or our code enforcement officials in different areas where we tend to get more complaints, and trying to have more of an impact in those neighborhoods. That tactic has proven effective. In June of 2026, officers took 220 enforcement actions on the city's west side, and they're providing monthly enforcement statistics to continue to track progress. Next up, economic vitality and business support, improve access to economic development incentives, grant programs, and permitting processes. Internally, we really have two different groups that handle these. Both of these are tax increment finance, or our TIF groups. There's the Central Business District as well as Mission Street. Mission Street has continued to be very active with, I think within the last year, doing 3 different grants for facade improvements on buildings along Mission Street. Our Central Business District TIF has been a little bit rocky trying to get off the ground, as we've had some issues trying to make quorum for a meeting so we can establish what those incentives will be, the amount of money to go towards those incentives. And I know that will be on the agenda tonight, is for an appointment to that board. We hope that having that appointment to that board will now mean that we can meet quorum and start to get those meetings going. And then also we're looking at planning to market those incentives more than we have in the past. Next up is explore opportunities for strategic partnerships and investment in underutilized or high potential areas within the city. We've identified a number of different priority sites that are being announced with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, Middle Michigan Development Corporation, and the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. So we've looked at a number of these different priority sites, and we will be marketing those. A couple of interesting areas that we're really looking at, and that is the old malt shop as well as the old SBX, and looking at that and trying to market that as reuse property. Next is public safety and emergency services. Implement key recommendations from the CPSM fire study to enhance fire department operations. A number of things listed here from Director Lauria. We've increased company training by approximately 300 hours annually, enhancing firefighter skills and operational readiness. Conducted a leadership development workshop with Lou Bender. Completed the approval process for new aerial apparatus with delivery anticipated March 2027. Continue our annual health and wellness initiatives through VO2 max testing in partnership with Central Michigan University, and continued post-incident reviews to identify lessons learned and improve operational performance. Next, expand community-oriented police programs in collaboration with local partners. And I really love the initiative here that Director Laurie has taken and charged the folks with over at the Public Safety. As of 7/28, we have officers made 411 contacts with their specific partnerships. Partnerships include local business groups and organizations. Next up, identify and develop future leaders within the police department through leadership training and succession planning. You'll see in the report that we have update as of 6/30, a number of different individuals and the sort of programs and time that they put in. This represents about 450 hours of dedicated training that our leadership or potential future leadership folks have taken over at Public Safety. Next is civic engagement and good governance. Support the successful implementation of early voting to ensure accessibility and compliance with state law. I think things have been very successful during the August election here, though we'll be looking for an update at the year end after the November election. Enhance promotion of various city programs to increase public awareness and participation. All four of our main city accounts, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn, have either exceeded their goal or on track to meet their goal by the end of the year. And I can share that particular report that our communications coordinator, Madison Craven, had shared with me. That way you guys can see this, but it was really interesting to see the numbers and the big push that we've had on social media. Next is organizational excellence and talent development. Attract and retain high-quality candidates through competitive hiring practices and professional development. To date, for 2026, we have onboarded 71 individuals, and the breakdown is there within the report, 42 seasonals dominating that number. Next is invest in mentoring and staff development to prepare current employees for future leadership roles. We're looking at establishing a mentor and leadership development pipeline through formal mentor pairings, structured trainings, and succession planning. We have made some meaningful progress in employee development and organizational growth that continues through the second quarter. 2 police officers earned promotion, 1 promoting to sergeant, another to detective sergeant. A long-term peak staff member had onboarded as the peak program coordinator when that position came available, and a long-standing seasonal staff member has transitioned to the role of water distribution operator. Employees participating in the city's tuition reimbursement program continue to make progress towards completing their bachelor's or master's degrees, while additional staff have advanced their professional qualifications by earning specialized licenses and certifications. Then lastly, foster a supportive and engaging work environment by strengthening organizational culture, recognizing employee contributions, and offering competitive benefits and career growth opportunities. We're identifying some of the weaknesses based on feedback from our workplace environment survey, considering further investigation and surveying if needed, and creating interventions to address concerns and gaps in performance. Areas being improved, I know I've shared some of this with the City Commission before, but organization-wide engagement on goals and objectives development, that was very much from the bottom up this year. We've also held information session for the organization regarding potential changes to health insurance, getting feedback from employees very early on in that process. Leadership team communications increasing through the use of AI-created notes and distribution to the team. So now it's not just the individuals that are attending our leadership meetings that are absorbing that information, but that can now be shared out organization-wide. Individuals can even watch the meetings if they want. And then interdepartmental meetings held for relevant projects to encourage cross-department collaboration. We've been focusing a lot more on that, trying to understand with every project that we do, it tends to touch multiple departments and bringing those folks in very early for those conversations. So that is the end of my report for goals and objectives 2026 up until this point. Does anyone have any questions?
I do have one regarding the early voting. I know that there were some problems with, well, we had a change in location. Was there a lower turnout for voters this year with early voting as a result of that, or was it comparable to the last cycle?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Clerk Schmelzer, I don't know if you happen to have the comparables. We can take a look at that though, if we can take a note of that, and we'll report back to the commission on that one. We'll take a look. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I know
Absolutely.
there was some confusion regarding messaging. I personally received a lot of messages about where people were supposed to go along those lines. So I just want to make sure that we are communicating with the public effectively and efficiently to make sure that they are aware of those changes. So I'm just interested in us taking an opportunity to learn from it in case we ever have something like this come up in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Actually, this is not mine. This is for Director Laurier regarding the code enforcement on the west side. Would there be, I'm not asking you to tell us what it is, but I am interested because you've got this large number of actions taken. And, I am interested in finding out what kinds of action, the types of action that we are taking. You can do the presentation later on. You don't have to respond. It's just a request.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
We can come back and give more information to the City Commission on that.
Yeah. And the follow-up is related to the Pickard Street property. What progress have you made? You said that staff was doing something.
Mhm.
What progress have you made?
Yep,
Are
absolutely.
you at a point where you might come back within a month or a few months to, present to us how far you've gone? Because we really do need to act
Absolutely.
on that.
Yep. Yeah, and that was my plan, was to come back in September to give
Okay.
the city commission that information. So if you recall, the city commission had three primary uses for the property that we were to investigate. We're looking
Yes.
at a deal with the Saginaw Chippewa Indian tribe and their interest in the property. We are looking at the potential for solar development, and we're looking at the potential for recreational opportunities. We had solicited information from folks at the school and affiliated with the cross-country team as to what their future vision would look like for that property if it were to be predominantly a cross-country track. And so we got that information back. That starts to run in conflict, though, with some of the other uses. And so that's where it's taken a little bit longer. I had anticipated that that might be a smaller footprint than what is being proposed at this point. So we're trying to investigate, can these uses truly coexist, which was one of the questions of the city commission. Could we have all three of those uses at the property? Could we have two uses at the property? And again, based on the size of the footprint that they are proposing, that would be somewhat difficult, unless there would be some coexisting, some acceptable cooperation amongst the different players there. So for instance, if the tribe were to come into ownership of the property, would that be an acceptable use, or would we have to move that to another area and consider different areas for those two uses? So that's what we're talking about right now. As far as the solar issue, this has become a little bit more complex than I initially thought. My initial proposal to the city commission is, if we're going to look at doing something like this, that this would be a lease to a company who is then going to build the solar. And then that would guarantee the city the guaranteed income of rental of that particular property. And we do believe, given our history of renting the property for agricultural uses, that this would meet the deed restriction that's currently on the property. The information that I've gotten back from consumers is a little more complex than that, and essentially saying, here's how these agreements typically look to us, et cetera. And I continue to push back, saying that's not the information that I'm looking for. I'm more or less just looking for comparables of what the rental proceeds would look like. And I just haven't been successful in getting that. Could be that I'm not asking the right questions, or maybe it's just information that they're not particularly forthcoming about. Regardless, I think we'll still be able to get together a good package of information for the city commission to render a decision.
Okay, last question, may I? This has to do with the old malt shop and SVX. And if you recall, I have been grinding my teeth about those two pieces of property. Because they have become an eyesore. You indicated that you were looking at doing something about it, or, what? Are you in a position to give us a hint, or is this something you'd like to come back and discuss with us later on?
Let me come back and discuss later on, because I don't want to come out of the gate with some potential remedies here
Okay.
that we have until we've really put the full package together. So I don't want to say, here's a couple of things that we're thinking at this point. We do understand that there is currently a interested private party. Nope. Okay. That has fallen through. So there was a potential private party who was looking at that. That apparently has fallen through as of today,
Okay.
sadly. So I do believe that we will be coming back within the next month or so. I think it's just going to depend on some of the city commission's schedule as well, because we got our next meeting is going to be very busy with all things rezoning or considering rezoning. And then I think we've already got a planned work session for September, the first meeting in September, if I'm not mistaken. So potentially the second meeting in September, we could come back with a further discussion on that, as well as some other priority sites within the city and what we can do to try to encourage more development at those places.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Other members of the commission, questions? Okay. Thank you, Manager Defense, for the very
Thank you.
comprehensive
Yes, thank you.
presentation here today.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Okay. Next item for under proclamations and presentations, we have a presentation on the America 250 celebration by Director of Community Services, Bill Biscorner.
Yeah, so I just want to go over kind of what we have for a schedule. There is a caveat that we are still working with people to enhance this, but this is what we have up to this date that we're pretty happy with. So, starting on Friday, August 21st, we have the Rubber Duck Derby, which has been canceled twice, so worked out perfect that we were able to throw it on that. The Market for the Arts starts on that day and runs through the entire weekend. Movies by Moonlight, we are showing Hamilton at the Island Park South Shelter. There is a Future of Comedy show at For Art's Sake from 8 to 9. On Saturday, we have a 5K starting at 9 a.m. Market for the Arts. There's a rock climbing wall, which will be at Broadway and Court Street. Inflatable obstacle course, Broadway and Franklin. There's free face painting, kids activities in a photo booth, the kids market, live music, bubble party, free balloon twisting, flag ceremony, and Central Michigan area concert band. Big Smile, more music, and then the Mount Pleasant Farmers Market on Saturday. And then Sunday is Market for the Arts and donation-based yoga. There is times associated with a lot of that stuff. We do have the schedule of events on our Facebook page. And I believe it's on our website, but I'm not sure if it's completely updated on our website yet. So, but yeah, so that is kind of the gist. The American Legion has been a great supporter so far, as well as the Historical Society. So we do have some great partners out there that we're working with. It's been pretty cool throwing it all together. So that's what I got.
Thank you. Any questions for Director Biscorner? Commissioner
Are there
Alsager?
going to be any fireworks?
No.
No. Any other questions for the director? Not seeing any. Thank you, Director Biscorner, for the update on that. Okay. Let's see, next item on the, for us is a disclosure of conflicts of interest, opportunity for recusal. Pursuant to the City of Mount Pleasant's Code of Ethics, members of the City Commission may disclose any conflicts of interest and recuse themselves from discussion and action involved with that item of business. Is there anything that members of the commission would like to bring forward for themselves? Not seeing anything, then at that time, we can move into additions and deletions to the agenda. At this time, Commissioner Perschbacher.
I would like to remove number 6 from the agenda. It's a initial draft of Tenants' Rights Committee resolution. The reason why I want to remove it is because this was never sent to myself or the vice mayor prior to being sent to the manager. Thus, I did not have a chance to read over it until it was put on the dais last meeting. And I find a lot of errors in it, and it's not something that I am willing to put my name on at this time.
Okay, let's see. So with that, then, is there, for additions and deletions, I believe it would be a motion to remove that? You'd be making a motion to remove
Yes,
that from the agenda?
I motion to remove number 6.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Perschbacher and seconded by Commissioner Alsager to remove item number 6, an initial draft of Tenants' Rights Committee resolution from receipt of petitions and communications from the agenda. Is there any further discussion on this before we vote on the item? Commissioner Eka or Vice Mayor Eka?
I do think that it is fair to do that because the 3 of us worked on it, and it will give us opportunity. It will give us opportunity to see this document before it goes forward.
Okay, gotcha. So,
Yeah, I think it's a fair request.
okay. Other discussion? Okay.
Yeah, I would like to chime in that.
Commissioner Stitsky.
It's been a slow process as far as getting the group of us together, so I wanted to make sure that we had something to prevent. This is just an initial draft. There's nothing set in stone. We agree that there was finer details regarding certain specifics that the rest of the commission needed to chime in on and to share their insight and their concerns, which is why it was brought forward for the rest of the commission to review and discuss, so that we can move forward. There's been a lot of support and concern from residents across the community to implement this. And with it taking 3 months for the three of us to be able to meet, I felt it was necessary to move forward with it.
Commissioner Perschbacher?
I understand that it has taken a while because of some time off between myself and the vice mayor, but it is extremely poorly written, and it appears to be put together by on AI, maybe Chat GPT. There's a lot of inconsistencies in here, interchanges of words, and it is not ready to be brought to the commission at this time.
Okay. Vice Mayor Ake?
Okay, because this is teamwork. My position is that it was teamwork. And because it is teamwork, it does make sense for the team, members of the team, to at least see it. I understand my colleagues' desire to move it forward. I think we all want it moved forward. But I do think that even before it comes to the larger body, that at least the three of us would have the opportunity to see it again, look over it, and then agree to say, let's send it to the larger body. Okay. It is important. And I want to, for me, it is important that we do it and we do it properly and we do it efficiently so that we're not going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So, my position is that we need to take it back and then look at it, and perhaps the three of us will come back again, and, get it done before, at least refine it. I'm using the word refine. Okay, refine it and then bring it forward to the larger body. This should not be contentious, all right? We just have to work on it as a team, clean it up and bring it to the larger body so that the larger body doesn't spend so much time trying to edit it or rework it or refine it. I don't know whether that makes sense, but that's what I'm saying.
Other members of the commission who haven't had a chance to speak yet on this motion? Commissioner Demarov?
Yes, as someone who's not part of the subcommittee, I think it is nice to see that there's things being done. It has been a while now. So that's why I like it there.
For myself, talking on the topic, it was an item that was brought to us and we had the opportunity to review as members of the commission. So I don't think, if I recall during the work session, it was my specific request to have that added into receipt of petitions and communications, because it was something that we had discussed and had the opportunity to review as members of the commission. That had been something that had been brought before us. And personally, knowing full well that there is a lot of discussion and a lot of interest on this topic, regardless of if it's a final draft or if it's a very early initial draft, knowing that we had the opportunity to have discussion and knowing that we had some review of it, and we're able to provide some feedback to members of the committee at the prior work session. That was why I asked, or I gave the direction to have that put under receipt of petitions and communications. Again, knowing it's an initial draft, but wanting to make sure that we are transparent to the public in the items we are reviewing. I know portions of it we were able to read aloud portions of it, and again, have back and forth conversation. So my thought process on it is it was not something that was able to make it into the agenda or into the packet at the previous meeting in time for to be a part of the work session and the official packet. But again, to be transparent, to make sure that the public is aware of, what direction we're heading in. It was something that, again, we had discussion reviewed on. That's where I feel comfortable keeping it in the agenda, but knowing that it is an initial draft, it is not something that is seeing action at this time, and it does require further refinements. I feel comfortable keeping it under receipt of petitions and communications. I personally will be voting down the motion for that reason. Other members of the commission with discussion, questions? Okay. Again, the motion being to remove item number 6, initial draft of Tenants' Rights Committee resolution from the agenda. Let's see. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please indicate by saying nay. Nay. Motion passes, I believe, 4-3 with Commissioner Sklitsky, Commissioner Demarath, and myself, Mayor Wingard, in dissent, I believe. So number 6 is going to be removed from the agenda at this time. Okay. Are there any other additions or deletions to the agenda that members of the commission would like to propose at this time? Okay. With that, in that case, I didn't do it as a single motion. That was a friendly amendment that could have been recommended, but is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended at this time?
I move that we do that.
Seconded.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Alsager, seconded by Vice Mayor Eke to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. At this time, we will move into public input on agenda items. If you are a member of the public and would like to give comments on any item on the agenda, please step up to the microphone.
Excuse me, are we forgetting consent?
No, we're not there yet.
No, that was still, we went from additions and deletions to public input on agenda items. We discussed receipt of petitions and communications, but yeah. No, I appreciate that.
That.
Let's see, so yeah, if you're a member of the public and would like to speak on any item that is on the agenda as approved, please step up to the microphone. You'll be given 5 minutes. Please state your name and address and the item you are speaking on for the record. If you are using Zoom, please use the raise hand function. And we have a member at the podium, so we'll begin with yourself.
All right, good to go? All right. Hello, my name is Fabian Martinez. I live on 602 West Broomfield Street, and I'm here as a private citizen. I'm here to speak about the Tenants' Rights Commission. Last meeting, I spoke about the email written by Amy Powell, head of the Isabella County Nonprofit Housing Corporation, which had copied the vice president and owner of Add Value Properties.
Excuse me, Mr. Fabian. I believe the item regarding tenants' rights is no longer on the agenda, but that would be acceptable during regular public comments.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mr. Fabian. Let's see. Is there anyone on Zoom with a raised hand? No raised hands? Are there any emails? Gotcha. Is there anyone else in the public who would like to speak at this time? Okay, not seeing anyone rushing up to the microphone at this time. I'm going to go ahead and close public input on agenda items, and we will move into receipt of petitions and communications. First item, we have minutes of the Zoning Board of Appeals from May, second quarter investment report, and the monthly report on police-related citizens' complaints. And that will then bring us into the consent agenda. Number 8, approval of minutes from the regular meeting held July 27th, 2026. Approval of minutes from the closed session held July 27th, 2026. Consider approval of the professional services agreement with Fishbeck for the WRRF mechanical equipment replacement study in the amount of $43,000 and authorize the city manager to execute the same, and approval of payrolls and warrants. Is there any items on the consent agenda members of the commission would like to remove into the regular agenda at this time? Commissioner Alsager?
That's not what I want to do. I just want to, for number 8, that there's a typo on an address for Seth Triesenberg.
Gotcha. Let's
That's
see.
it.
Let's see. Do you know the correction on the typo?
It's the address above it, and it's just one letter off.
Gotcha.
921 Glen.
Gotcha. Other members of the commission?
I have a question for Director Lauria. I have a question for Director Lauria. Director Lauria, first I want to say, okay, I'm looking at the complaints, no complaints. No complaints.
No formal,
No formal complaints,
we get complaints.
but no formal complaints too. That's what I was wondering about. What am I looking at? Okay, thank you. You've clarified. No formal complaints, but you do get complaints.
Yes, we get people who may be satisfied with, or dissatisfied rather, with an officer's actions. They don't want to take they don't want to fill out or do the full blown. They talk about it, resolve it, address it, and move on.
Okay,
But it's up to them whether or not they want to, but they're always asked if they want to file a formal complaint or informal.
okay. Thanks for the clarification. I needed that.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm looking at this saying we've got to be a holy city,
yeah, but,
a holy city.
oh, yeah.
A blessed city, it's like, you know. So thank you for the clarification.
Any other questions from members of the commission on the consent agenda or any items we would like to remove at this time? Not seeing any. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda at this time?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Seconded.
Okay. Motion to approve the consent agenda made by the Vice Mayor Eke, seconded by Commissioner Skolitsky. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. Now, we have no public hearings this evening, which will bring us into new business. First item of new business is to consider appointments to various boards and commissions by the Appointments Committee. At this time, we have one that is to put forward, which is the appointment of Patrick McNeil to the CBD TIFA board. It would be for, I believe, if have calculated it out correctly, it should be a term ending at this time, I believe, December of 2026, based off of the term being, or the position being vacant previously. Are there any questions on this? Mr. McNeil is the current president of the Mount Pleasant Area Chamber of Commerce. And they have a business front in the downtown area, which would qualify him for the position. Okay, not seeing any questions. I'll make the motion as a member of the Appointments Committee to approve the appointment of Patrick McNeil to the Central Business District TIFA Board with term ending December 31st of 2026.
I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion made by myself and seconded by the Vice Mayor Eke. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. Okay. Next is item number 13. Consider approval of resolution for the proposed easement for Consumers Energy on City Park property within the Chippewa River corridor. At this time, I would ask Manager DeSense if you can provide us some background information on this topic.
Absolutely. So Consumers Energy is seeking an easement within 100 feet of the Chippewa River that will be on city property at Nelson Park, Riverside Cemetery, and Mill Pond Park. In doing so, the city's charter requires that any
essentially lease of property within 100 feet of the Chippewa River on city property would be subject to the vote of the people. And so City Attorney Malcomier has drafted a resolution and the proposed language allowing Consumers Energy to have an easement on city property within 100 feet of the Chippewa River, should this be approved by the voters in November. One thing I want to draw your attention to is it was pointed out that the language that was initially offered was incorrect. And let me just go ahead and read that really quick. We were initially looking at the following statement: shall the city of Mount Pleasant be authorized pursuant to Article 2, Section 16E and 16F of the city charter to grant Consumers Energy Company a permanent utility easement for the relocation, construction, operation, and maintenance of low voltage and high voltage electric lines and associated equipment sharing a single line of poles along the north right-of-way of West Broad Avenue with vegetation management rights extending approximately 80 feet into the southern portions of Nelson Park, Mill Pond, and Riverside Cemetery. However, that would be the northern part of Mill Pond. And so City Attorney Mike Homier, who we do have on our call today, so he is joining us virtually, has offered the following modification of the language. It says, shall the city of Mount Pleasant be authorized pursuant to Article 2, Sections 16E and 16F of the city charter to grant Consumers Energy Company a permanent utility easement for the relocation, construction, operation, and maintenance of low voltage and high voltage electric lines and associated equipment sharing a single line of poles along the north right-of-way of Broadway Avenue with vegetation management rights extending approximately 80 feet into the southern portions of Nelson Park and Riverside Cemetery and 40 feet into the northern portion of Mill Pond Park.
Okay. For discussion purposes, turning to city staff and the city attorney to make sure that we're entering in the correct language, would we need a motion to amend the proposed the resolution that's before us? Like, as far as how to proceed to make sure that that is done correctly.
Yeah, if I can go, do we have Mike on the call that we can pull in here?
I cannot claim to be a good parliamentarian. I can get the basics, but
He's got his hand raised too, so. All right, Mike, you should be all set.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, no, you don't have to amend it. You would just adopt the amended version. So however you best want to express that, that's fine. But because there has not been an adoption yet by the city commission, there's no amendment. Certainly there's been a change in the language indicating it's the 40 feet into the northern portion of Mill Pond Park.
okay, so if a motion is put forward, it would need to be a motion to adopt the resolution, the amended resolution as presented,
Either that or as revised is fine.
as revised. Okay. Thank you, City Attorney Homier. Let's see, members of the commission, questions, discussion. Commissioner Alsager.
I appreciate all the efforts to make the language correct.
Okay. Vice Mayor Eke.
I appreciate the clarity also, or at least, making sure that we have the correct language. But I am concerned because I have here vegetation management rights. What does that mean? If my head is doing all sorts of, my brain is doing all sorts of somersaults right now, thinking vegetation management. And since I know the area that we're talking about, I'm thinking the implication is that trees are going to be cut down or some branches are going to be cut down, cleared for this purpose. And considering that at a certain point, we talked about environmental, we're thinking about climate and environmental sustainability, and here we are talking about getting rid of trees and, and cutting down vegetation. I'm concerned. I am just simply registering my concern. I don't like the prospect of cutting down old ancient trees, destroying our environment. But, I like the possibility. I actually do like the option of leaving it to the people of Mount Pleasant to decide whether they want to do this because, yeah. I'm concerned about the destruction of the environment and of those trees and of our park system.
Yeah. So early on conversations with consumers, I know Director Biscorner had been involved in those, and we had a plan for essentially trying to save some trees. Some trees would not be able to be saved, but we had looked at a reimbursement cost for planting new trees to replace those trees. Kind of shifting the question over to City Attorney Homier. The ballot proposal then, if approved by the voters, would just grant the city the authorization to enter into this. If I'm correct on that, then we could still negotiate those further conditions as were discussed earlier, which would be replacement of some of these trees and preservation of others. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the ballot proposal itself provides for the authorization, which would be 80 feet into the southern portions of Nelson Park and Riverside Cemetery, 40 feet into the northern portion of Mill Pond Park. That the 40-foot, so most of the facilities span West Broadway in the right-of-way, and then 40 feet of that extends also further into the southern portions of Nelson Park and Riverside Cemetery, and then 40 feet into the northern portion of Mill Pond Park. It's those 40 feet on either side of the 80-foot easement that is referred to as the protection easement area. That protection easement area is would permit consumers to trim, cut down, and otherwise remove and control trees, brush, roots, or other vegetation within a portion of that property, which consumers in its sole discretion determines are of a species capable of obtaining a height of 35 feet or taller and which may endanger consumers' facilities.
And if I can just add to that, my conversation with another representative from consumers he had stated consumers' intent on trying to maintain that initial agreement that we had that was negotiated with Director Biscorner.
Okay. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. You still have the floor at this time.
My follow-up for Attorney Homier was that I hear him providing us with a geographical description of the place. I wanted a response to your question, which is that a previous conversation with Consumers Powers indicated that they would provide some funding to hopefully purchase trees to replace the ones that they would get rid of. So I didn't hear that from him. And if that's the case, I want to make sure that that is clear in your conversations, because, hey, if we're talking about environmental justice or environmental sustainability, you get rid of one tree, you need to replace it somewhere. Okay? So that's my concern. That is my concern. So hopefully you have that conversation, because we value our parks, we value our trees. I'm a tree hugger. Okay, so, it's painful to think about the age of those trees and the fact that they are going to disappear and they're not going to be replaced, right? So if we are going to be responsible, environmentally responsible, and think about the preservation of the earth and of our own environment and of our space, then we ought to make sure that if you get rid of those trees, you've got to replace them with some other tree. So I hope Manager DeSense, you and Director Biscona are going to emphasize that, because right now I'm not happy about this.
Commissioner Demroth?
So I just swore an oath to the charter and I have to uphold it. And we have to do this because it's in our charter within 100 feet of our river. So us saying no or yes up here is one thing. We're 7 people and yes, we are elected to represent the city. But I think ultimately the city residents having power over this is where it should be and the proper way. Will I support this? I don't like it. I wouldn't vote for it, but that's not up to me. It's up to the city, and that's what we're here to uphold the charter.
Yes.
Thank you. Other members of the commission? Commissioner?
Yes, working in the IBEW, I have a lot of I see some power lines and they generally are designed. This has been a part of the city charter for a very long time for us to be able to protect our rivers. Like it's been stated several times before, our parks are a very important part of Mount Pleasant. So this is poor foresight on a consumer's part to be able to be going through our parks to distribute power. But as Commissioner Demroth stated, this is part of the charter to put it before the residents to vote on. That's all. Thank you.
I had some questions for city staff regarding this proposal here. Has consumers described to us the benefit for, or like why they are seeking this easement, like the benefits to the energy, to their energy program, to the local community?
So the quicker version of what I've been told is that the current line runs along the railroad tracks and it is in Mill Pond, and it is in a very bad spot for them to be able to work on it. And so when they do have to go in and work on it, they have to shut down the railroad tracks during that time. And so there has been discussion at the state level between consumers and the railroad authority. I'm not sure exactly what the name of that is. And that is how this whole thing got started. And then they're trying to update those lines. And so in order for them to do that, they have to reroute them to get them away from where they currently are, because they're basically in a swamp area where they can't get underneath them. So as they run along the road tracks just in this section.
Yeah. Have they explored, are we aware if they have explored other options? Obviously, like the option you're describing there, like I understand their cost and everything of where they might be looking to move elsewhere, such as this location. Have they considered like buried lines or anything, for example?
The way it was explained to me is the high voltage lines can't be buried.
Gotcha.
Just the regular distribution lines can. So
Gotcha. Have they expressed to us at this point if the voters should turn down the millage, their next course of, or not millage, excuse me, most common ballot measure I think of, have they expressed to us if the ballot measure were to be turned down, what their course of action would look like?
I haven't been privy to those discussions. That has been, our legal teams have been working with each other since this whole thing came up, so.
Gotcha. Let's see. Also, just as a topic point, I believe, City Attorney Homier, you're still on the line. Just a quick comments. For the benefit of both the commission and the public as we talk about this, because again, this would ultimately result in a ballot measure. My understanding is that the commission as a body would not be able to take a position on this if we approve ballot language, but individual members of the commission are free to exercise their voice as a policymaker and as a representative as to their, like, again, opinion of what is being asked on this.
That's correct. Michigan Campaign Finance Act does not apply to the individual expression of policymaker views, meaning that individual members of the city commission can express their view of any particular ballot proposal.
Okay, thank you. Let's see.
Whenever.
If you want to go, I need to collect my thoughts here.
If we get to this point where we are putting it on the ballot, is the city able to have a few presentations to educate the city about what's going on? I think, I don't know if that works, but if it's possible, I think it would be a great thing to do so people really understand it. I think that's the most important thing when you're casting a ballot is understanding what it is. And I think the city could educate on that. And if we can, I hope we will.
That was a question that I had raised with Manager DeSense as far as education efforts, making sure people are aware and understand the the ramifications of the issue, what they're being asked to vote upon in November. Can you talk a bit about what that would look like?
Yeah, the city's able to provide factual information to individuals. I would probably want to consult with the city attorney debating, pros, cons, those kind of things, because I wouldn't want to set it up as the city taking a side, but we could certainly present factual information relevant to this case.
Gotcha. Could that include information posts on city, like water billing, or our email or monthly emails that go out of this will be a question you are presented with on the ballot. Here is the information we are able to present.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Let's see. Other members of the commission, I have a couple other questions, but give others opportunity to speak.
I do have a question myself.
Yeah, Commissioner Sklitsky.
I'm curious if Consumers has offered any alternatives for routing their distribution to help justify why it is that they need to impede on the city charter and why they see that they have rights to the easement. I understand that it is a process, but if they're looking at rebuilding the infrastructure to redistribute higher lines, then a possible alternate route should be presented to the city, I feel would be a proper consideration to us.
I haven't been given an alternative route.
Okay.
So
Last question I had truly was, what amount of vegetation would likely be affected by the easement if granted?
say that again.
Amount of vegetation that we would expect to see affected if the easement ultimately is granted. Going through Nelson Park, tall trees are a characteristic of it. So I'm
Right.
concerned.
I don't have the sheet in front of me, but if I can recall correctly, it's roughly 11 trees are affected in the frontage of Nelson. 2 of those were proposed to be relocated. And then a couple of them they're already damaged. And so when we were going through it, there wasn't 11, extremely mature trees that we were damaging at this point, but I would have to have more, a different time to give that presentation.
Okay. Thank you, Director Biscorner. Again, that's the last question for myself. Wasn't seeing any other questions, but turning back to members of the commission for questions from staff or for staff. Okay. Thank you. At this time, is there a motion that members of the commission would like to make at this time?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the amended version of the ballot measure for November regarding the easement requested by Consumers Energy.
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Skolitsky and seconded by the Vice Mayor to accept the amended resolution presented to us this evening. Any discussion at this time before we proceed to a roll call vote on this matter? I was informed, roll call vote is necessary, has its ballot language, but Commissioner, any questions, discussion on the item? Just speaking on it for myself before we vote, I know I personally will be voting, I will be voting for the measure, as I think it is correct that this question being put before us, it is something that it belongs to the voters of the area of our city. It is something that our charter empowers them to do in protecting our parks and spaces around our watershed. I personally don't intend to vote for this in November. I think that there are other options that consumers probably could pursue. And working with it, I just can't, I have a difficult time granting the easement myself personally. But again, this is a power that belongs to the voters, and we are but 7 individuals. So with that, again, the motion is to approve the amended resolution. Clerk Schmelzer, please call the roll.
Commissioner Skolitsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Rowlands,
Yes.
Commissioner Alsager,
Yes.
Commissioner Demara,
Yes.
Commissioner Perschbacher,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ekke,
Yes.
Mayor Wingard,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. Okay. At this time, we'll move into announcements on city-related issues and new business. Let's see. Move through the year pretty steadily, but I'm gonna, just changing things up a little bit on order. Gonna go from the exterior back to the interior. Commissioner Perschbacher, are there any announcements or new business you would like to bring forward?
Not at this time.
Okay. Commissioner Rollins.
None at this time.
Okay. Commissioner Alsager.
I just want to give a shout out to our clerks department that they conducted a good election and they put in a lot of hours. So I appreciate their good work.
Thank you. Commissioner Skolitsky.
There's gonna be a lot of people going back to school here shortly. I just want to make sure everybody's aware that, traffic's gonna be picking up in the morning and in the afternoon. Be mindful of students, of slow-moving vehicles, suddenly stopping vehicles. There's gonna be a lot of changing conditions here in the next couple of weeks. So be mindful, and I hope everybody has a wonderful school year.
Okay. Commissioner Demoroth.
Well, I have to say, I'm very glad to be back, and thank you to all the city clerk and all the poll workers and everybody that makes elections possible in the city. And I'm very happy to be here. So thank you.
Vice Mayor Ekke.
Okay, I am not sure whether this is new business, but it might be new business. In light of meeting 2 weeks ago and the discussion related to the letter from Ms. Amy Powell, I spent 2 weeks thinking about what happened here. I'm not happy. I do think that if we're going to work as a team, we have to respect one another and engage in actions that do not undermine the dignity or integrity of one another. I'm not seeking a quarrel. I am not aiming for a fight. I am just simply stating publicly that we can't work as a team if we don't have respect for one another, or at least honor one another's integrity or dignity, regardless of our positions, whether we agree with one another. Bearing in mind the fact that we had a letter read to us into the public document, and particularly one which we had not had opportunity to look at carefully. I'm going to ask, and this is your, perhaps the new business. I'm going to ask that we develop a protocol. If one existed, it was broken. I don't know what it is. We've never, in my 4 years or 5 years of being on this commission, we have not read a letter into public documents at that particular moment, but one was read. If we're going to read one letter, we need to read all of them. I am going to ask that we make this a new business. We develop a protocol for addressing such requests. And if letters like that come to us, if we have to read one, we read all, not read selectively, because then that creates a level of unfairness. We've got to be equitable. We've got to be fair. We've got to at least maintain our integrity and maintain the integrity of the process. So for me, my new business for the good of this commission and for us is that we consider a protocol for addressing such, requests. And I am saying this out of respect for everybody who is here. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. For myself, I wanted to once again thank city staff, Director Biscorner, for the presentation on the 250 celebration, the America 250 celebration. It's a new event for our community. I'm excited to have that come to pass, and I'm sure it'll be a great time. It seems like you brought together a really great the coordination of events and activities during that seems like it will be a very good time for the community there. Other item I just wanted to make a note of, and I would have look to have further discussion with other members of the commission on this, just individually, finding out their thoughts. But I know that there is a number of outstanding items on the agenda. That we have discussed throughout the year, over the course of the past year. Different topics, work items that we have addressed, gotten a lot of public feedback on, and have still continued to work with. Going into Q3 and then getting closer and closer to the end of the year, it'll be here before you know it. Potentially a special session, work session to help address and better navigate some of these items that are out there. I can create a long list of things that we could talk about, but might also help us or our predecessors into the next year just navigate the work of the city. Just to again have a special session to suss out, address these different items, reprioritize, address budget and goals and objectives going into the next year. Just the note I wanted to pass along to members of the commission, and I'd be happy to have further conversation with members of the commission and city staff for their feedback also on that. But that was all I had at this time. So we'll move into then public input on agenda items. At this time, if you are a member of the public and would like to give comments on any item on or off the agenda, please step up to the microphone. You will be given 5 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. If you are on Zoom, please use the raised hand function to indicate you would like to speak.
Round two, I'm good to go. Hello, my name is Fabian Martinez. I live on 602 West Broomfield Street, and I'm here as a private citizen. I'm here to speak about the Tenants' Rights Commission. Last meeting, I spoke about the email written by Amy Powell, head of the Isabella County Nonprofit Housing Corporation, which had copied the vice president and owner of Value Added Properties and another individual who owns Quality Apartments. I am concerned of a potential undisclosed relationship between Amy Powell and Amy Perschbacher. At last meeting's work session, she mentioned that she knew Amy for years and knew her character well. Considering she read the letter and failed to disclose that, I believe that she should recuse herself from any votes pertaining to the Tenants' Rights Commission. I asked the City Commission to investigate the matter to ensure Commissioner Perschbacher is acting impartially when she's making her judgments concerning hot topic items here at the city. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Joseph Carrion. I live on 109 North Orange Street. So believe it or not, I've come today to talk about the chicken ordinance. My stance on this matter is very clear. I don't care. I don't plan on ever owning chickens, and I don't plan on ever calling the cops for something as absurd and asinine as chickens. I think it's a tremendous waste of public resources to have our police department even deal with phone calls on this. But it's clear this commission is going to make rules on this, whether I like it or not. So I have no choice but to play ball. This past discussion on the chicken ordinance was by far the most unprofessional discussion I've seen to date. Both Vice Mayor Eke and Commissioner Demarath should be ashamed. Starting with Mayor Wingard, you weren't a problem in my eyes, but I do want to address your registration rule. I don't understand how one could return a lost chicken unless you're stating microchipping is required. None of the chicken owners I know microchip any of their chickens, so that part really needs further discussion as that adds another fee. But actually does have real safety precautions that might make those fees worth it, which I'll explain later. Commissioner Demarath, your cascade to focus on the quantity of complaints was your worst performance yet. And I'm not talking about your attitude. I was in the Army for 9 years, so I'm used to that outburst. It was what you said. When Commissioner Alsager said that she had one complaint and your immediate response was just one, that hurt. Because from this side of the room, all I heard was you don't care about my ZBA complaints. Because as far as I know, I'm the only one talking about that. Words like that make people believe that you don't care about us. The reality is one complaint should be enough to invoke change. I never want to hear you turn down a complaint like that ever again. Don't make me regret voting for you. And Vice Mayor Eke, in my opinion, you gave the worst performance. You have used all of these chicken ordinance meetings to say a whole lot of nothing. You talk about how you're scared of the bird flu, yet you don't back Mayor Wingard's rule about registration. Because if you didn't know, microchipping does have the ability to alert people if your bird gets the bird flu. That's a thing. I didn't know that, but I do now. But all of that took me 3 minutes of Googling. If you really care about your constituents and you care about all those complaints you've received, you'd at least do some kind of research on this. And for the full commission, this discussion could have been done 3 meetings ago. If you all just had a summary of the complaints in the packet, that would have given you clear direction as to what rules are up for discussion. So why hasn't that happened? This is getting ridiculous. If this ordinance isn't resolved the next time it's discussed, then all I see is a commission that is incapable of fixing the smallest issues. And if you guys can't even fix the smallest issues, why should we trust you with the large ones?
Thank you.
Hello, it's one of my last presentations, I think. My name is Margie Notstein. I live at 1361 South Crawford Street. I hope this is a true statement that everyone agrees that the city needs more housing options. Yes, 50 houses helps our number of domiciles needed for the year 2030, but it does very little for the year 2050. I'm thinking long-term. Any proposed school can be built on surrounding township properties and still provide all the benefits the proponents maintain will possibly exist, such as some amount of jobs and another type of education. But the number of residences could more than twice as many of the commission would if the members of the commission would vote for homes. I'm also thinking of our tax base as our city bills grow. Not pandering to the owner who will get a tax break by gifting more of his land, and at the same time put this carrot in front of everyone about him giving his land for free. But he's going to get a tax break for gifting more of this land. I know it's his business, but it's a rare chance for the city to help the future of Mount Pleasant by zoning for future homes and adding actual dollars to our city tax base. I do not gain financially from this opinion or speech, while many of the people promoting for the school, its principal or its teacher or its landowner, do gain. Please consider this zoning for housing your contribution to our wonderful city's future, to the residents' goal, future residents' goals of owning their own homes. Additionally, it adds thousands of new dollars to our future tax base. It cannot be done without your zoning vote. I just wish the whole city could decide on this proposed school zoning and the loss of the tax base. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Frances Lickman, 1212 Toma Drive. I am here to speak about the proposed zoning at Broomfield and Crawford, specifically the 8-acre parcel of CD4 unrestricted and the 74 acres of CD4 residential only. Our city critically needs the 1,600 new housing units that 74 acres is expected to accommodate. But the 8-acre parcel of CD4 unrestricted does not support housing. In fact, it actively jeopardizes it. Here's how. Our CD4 unrestricted allows a mix of uses, or any one of them: commercial, light industrial, residential. The owner of the 8 acres has sought commercial zoning for over 20 years. Therefore, a reasonable expectation is that that acres would have exclusively commercial zoning. The zoning ordinance encourages walkable essential services for the residents of the 74 acres. For that size community, this means everyday amenities like a coffee shop or a medium-sized grocery store, taking up 1 or 2 acres of land, approximately. It would not be an 8-acre major commercial hub. For comparison, Stadium Mall takes up 5 acres. Transforming the gateway of this future neighborhood into a high-impact commercial district brings semi-truck delivery noise, the screech of dumpsters, and constant traffic exhaust. More importantly, an 8-acre commercial footprint introduces high-volume traffic, creating a permanent safety threat that makes walking, biking, and children crossing the street dangerous. Ultimately, this environment risks scaring away the very families and workforce residents the city's trying to attract. It would similarly degrade the quality of life of the established neighborhood across Broomfield. Building 8 acres of commercial will funnel heavy traffic through CMU's campus and worsen the collision-prone Broomfield Mission intersection, all the while ignoring the abundance of vacant retail all over our city. The city planner has suggested that you approve rezoning now and rely on traffic studies later. That approach is flawed. Once an unrestricted CD4 zone is approved, all development uses in that zone become permanent property rights. If a study 2 years from now proves that the roads can't handle the traffic, the city cannot legally revoke the zoning. When the intersection of Broomfield and Crawford inevitably becomes a bottleneck, the developer will not pay for the necessary road widening. Mount Pleasant taxpayers will. Commissioners, the city needs housing, not an 8-acre shopping mall. Please consider limiting the commercial area, the CD4 unrestricted, scaling it for a neighborhood, 1 or 2 acres, and designating the rest CD4, residential only. This will prevent gridlock, provide local services, and deliver the housing our community needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any raised hands on Zoom? Any emails? Okay. Not seeing anyone coming up to the microphone at this time. I'm going to go ahead and close public input on agenda item, or excuse me, public comments on agenda and non-agenda items. Let's see, time right now is 8:26.
10 minutes, please.
We will have a 10-minute recess and we will resume at 8:36. Thank you, guys. And we are back in session. We have a work session remaining on the agenda. We are continuing a discussion on Consumers Energy Renewable Energy Program. If I recall correctly, at our last meeting, we had this as an item of new business for potential discussion. And a motion was made, I believe it was by myself, to direct it back to a work session for more information on cost comparisons to current energy usage. If we were to forego being a part of this program and what that would look like. So I believe we're going to be getting more information on that. Director DeSense, if you want to tee up your staff.
Nothing from me. I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to our sustainability coordinator, Mason Squillets Peterson. He wrote a very comprehensive memo on this with a lot of really great information that I know he is going to take us through and then sort of talk about the recommendation before the city commission. So
Thank you, Director DeSense. Let's see.
All right, I got it pulled up on here. I don't know if it's gonna come up. All right, I'll just go through like the, briefly through the program description, because you already, got that from prior meetings, but yeah, this is the Consumers Energy Renewable Energy Program. You can, subscribe to, certain percentage of renewable energy through 5, 10, 15, or 20-year contracts. In this case, the renewable energy would be coming from a solar facility, and that's currently being constructed, by Consumers Energy. It's scheduled to be operational in 2028, possibly in 2029. And the participation requires a minimal annual usage of 1 million kilowatt hours, which the city easily meets. Under this program, we would be locking in a subscription cost of 0.64 cents per kilowatt hour, and this price would remain the same for the entirety of the contracted years. This fee would be used by Consumers Energy to build the solar field, pay for the necessary maintenance of the solar field, and cover the cost of decommissioning that field at the end of its effective lifespan. All the fees collected by consumers are kept within this program and they're not used elsewhere in their operations. I will say the subscription price is subject to change until the city signs a contract with Consumers Energy for this. Until the facility is operational, if we were to sign the contract, we would not get any cost until it starts. Once the program starts, we would be getting either a bill premium or a bill credit at the bottom of our electricity bills, and I'll show you what that looks like later. These premiums or credits are based on the difference between the subscription cost for us and the market value of that renewable energy energy credits and capacity credits generated at that solar facility. And right now they're using data from Siemens PTI. They're an independent energy forecasting firm, and they're using conservative estimates to see what the market will look like based on just a bunch of different things and numbers. And even with those conservative estimates, projections are showing a positive return on investment for participation in the renewable energy program. That's both in the short and long term. Wanted to clarify some of the ways we can sign up for this, which includes a bit of a recommendation for how we should. You can either contract percent usage or a monthly volume, fixed monthly volume for renewable energy through this program. That percent usage is the amount of kilowatt hours received from renewable energy. It corresponds with what percent we subscribe to. So for example, if City Hall subscribed to 50% renewable energy and used 30,000 kilowatt hours for the month, 15,000 of those kilowatt hours would be coming from renewable energy. And then also the bill premium or credit is based on how much energy we use. So depending on how much we decide to use that percentage, it'll be higher or lower. And this is the one I recommend we go with as opposed to the fixed monthly volume. That's because with the fixed monthly volume, we're paying for that amount of energy regardless of if we use it or not. So we could pay for 30,000 kilowatt hours, but use 26,000, but we're still on the hook for that 4,000 if we were to go that way. So that's why I'm recommending the percent usage. So what the bill will look like, the whole top section will remain the same. Nothing will look different if we were to participate in this program, including the rate codes. Nothing changes with that. But when we do participate in the program, there's gonna be an additional section. You see that right there with the renewable energy section underneath your normal line items. That's where you're gonna see the fee that it costs us to be in the program, the credits, the capacity credits, and then if the math works out, either premium or credit. This will not be on the bill until we actually start the program when the facility is operational, if we were to contract it. And then also, this program is pretty flexible with our own renewable energy projects that we would want to do in the future, particularly with the biodigesters at the wharf. If you do the percent usage, you are only paying for how much energy you use. So if we use less because we're generating biogas at the wharf, we'll just be getting a lower premium or credit based on how much we do that percent usage on the contract. And it's also worth noting that even if we were to do the wharf at 100% renewable energy, it would be no issue with us implementing biogas. It's just, like I said, lower premiums or credits. And then there's some important deadlines for this. So we do have a time crunch on some of these decisions if we want to go with it. The major one is that the program enrollment does end September 30th of this year for this particular iteration of the program. And I would have mentioned this prior at the prior meeting. I was not aware of that until a day after the meeting. Also, another potential soft deadline is that the program could fill up before the enrollment deadline, which I don't think that will happen, but there's still a chance that that could. And then also where the subscription price could change until a contract is signed. But if we were to sign it today, it would for sure be that 0.64 cents. Now, looking at what we're currently using for electricity and how much that costs, these are our top 7 most expensive accounts. All the other accounts, that I believe it is, the 68 other accounts are much lower than these. These are where the majority of the impact would be coming from with this program. You have the wastewater facility, that's our most expensive account, followed by 1775 East Broomfield, which is a water treatment plant facility. Then City Hall, the Department of Public Safety, the actual water treatment plant, and then the other 2 are water treatment plant facilities. And as far as what those buildings are actually using, it follows pretty same order. It's just you're going to switch out the water treatment plant with the public safety building. And like I said, yeah, the 68 other accounts are significantly lower than these ones. And now for future cost projections on this, try my best to explain this graph. It's showing what our projected annual bills would be compared to what our bills would potentially look like under the renewable energy program. And both of these lines are showing, are including a 2% increase just base. And that's because we all know Consumers Energy is raising prices every year. So they're just accounting for that by automatically putting that increase in there. But what this graph is showing is there's going to be an average annual net savings of about $35,000 per year over that 20-year contract at 100% participation. So that number does not include the options that we can for doing less than 100% participation. But if we were to go that route, we would be getting a little under or over $35,000 a year. And this is just the numbers of what this graph is showing. We can look at those if you have questions on that later. And then you've already seen most of these, but we'll just quickly go through it. These are some of the options that we have as far as how we can participate in this program. First, option 1 is 100% of our energy demand for the whole 20 years. This is the most ROI over that 20-year contract. It's the most carbon avoided out of all the options we got. But obviously it'll cost us the most money in the long term. However, if you see those net savings over that 5 years, for example, we would be saving $237,000 projected. And now the pros for this one, it probably best aligns with our city's sustainability goals as far as doing just more things with renewable energy. It's the most carbon avoided, like I said, highest ROI, and it reduces long-term energy market risk. Now, you do also have to realize for the cons of this one, the energy market could drop below that 0.64 cents. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but it still could, and then we would be essentially paying more than what the market price is for electricity on that. Option 2 would be staggering the accounts in the 5, 10, 15, and 20-year contracts. This would still be 100% as much as we can get for those, but it's just we phase them out over that over those contract terms. This is a lower overall financial investment for us, so it would cost us less money. Also, same pro as the other option, and some of these pros are the same for all of these. If the energy market is higher than that 0.64 cents, we will be paying less than what other people are paying if they're not in this program. And now this option offers greater flexibility with how we can structure the contract. And also, since we would be phasing out, we would be less tied to the program overall, especially as we get past that 10-year mark where a lot of the accounts will drop off after that. Now, a con with this one is it's going to be less carbon avoided and lower ROI than option 1. And some accounts would still have to be on that 15 to 20-year contract so we can get that 1 million kilowatt minimum. Option 3, this is 100% full renewable energy minus 1 million kilowatt hours from the WRF. That's just so we can take into account that we could potentially be generating biogas there to reduce our overall demand. But like I said, that wouldn't necessarily impact this program and like our eligibility for it if we were to implement that at the WRF. Similar pros as option 1, it's going to be, but it will be cheaper than option 1, and that's because we would be contracting 1 million kilowatt hours less. Similar cons though to option 2, you're avoiding, it's a less carbon avoided and there's a lower ROI than option 1. And also it's worth noting if we don't contract 100% for our buildings, a portion of that will be coming from fossil fuels, likely natural gas. They were phasing out a lot of their fossil fuel stuff, but especially with coal, they're still keeping those around right now. So we would have to keep that in mind that if we don't go 100%, we are still reliant on fossil fuels to an extent. Option 4 is another staggered contract, but this one is just subtracting 1 million kilowatt hours just off the grand total, not necessarily just from the WRF. Now, this was done as the cheapest possible way we could participate, while also keeping that staggering so we can be less tied to consumers' energy in this program. And so this would also still offer that flexibility similar to option 2. It would be, however, the lowest carbon avoided and lowest ROI of all the options, and that's because it would be the cheapest investment for us. And that 1 million kilowatt hours would still be coming from natural gas, and this one just has the lowest savings estimate. If we're looking at the savings and want to go in it for the savings of this program, this would have the lowest on that end. So that being said, I recommend option 4, and that's because it would be the cheapest way for us to do participate. It's that staggered contract, so we can adjust how we participate, what gets on that 5, 10, 15, 20 year. I have a potential account structure for what that could look like. This was given to me by Consumers Energy. Essentially, the WRF would be on 20 years. A water treatment plant facility and City Hall would be on 15 years. Another water treatment plant facility itself, and then public safety on 10 years, and the rest of the 65 accounts would be on that 5-year. And they'll just drop off after those terms. And then this is the last thing I got. This is just the long-term breakdown of what our 100% participation would look like for all of our facilities over that 20 years. And this is just the year-by-year breakdown. As you can see, right now, all of the estimates and projections are showing annual net savings as opposed to premiums. So we would be essentially saving money through this program, that it would be in the form of a bill credit. It would lower that overall normal electric charge that we get. That's what I got.
All right, questions? Commissioner Alsager.
Well, since you are our sustainability coordinator, does it hurt you to to recommend option 4?
As far as like yeah, I think we could be doing more renewable energy. It would be the cheapest way that we can participate in this. So I recognize both of those are very important things. But yeah, as someone sustainability minded, yeah, obviously I would like to do a lot of renewable energy when we can. But also I will say this particular program is regardless of how are to participate in it, it is the quickest and cheapest way that we can get renewable energy at the moment. Unless you want to invest millions of dollars into a solar field and have people to maintain it, and then millions of dollars to decommission it after its effective lifespan, sure, I would love to do that. But do we have that money and the manpower to do that? So that's why I like this program. It's just what we can do right now. And also it does support, yes, you're paying Consumers Energy, their utility company. You're paying them for this program, but also they are building these solar fields. This is the 5th time they're doing it with this program. If they like this again, they might keep doing it. They just have to wait for it to actually start to see the interest, how successful this one is. But as of right now, they're seeing a lot of success in this, and it is supporting renewable energy development in Michigan.
Okay, thank you.
Question for you on that. With the staggered contract options, is that still our investment into the single solar field, or is it okay?
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah, all of it would be coming. So when we subscribe to it, we're subscribing to a chunk of that solar field, essentially, of that generation. I believe it's a 100-megawatt facility. We would be getting a subscribed chunk of that is our energy.
Okay. Other members of the commission, questions?
Yes, I see it looked like we were paying about 0.73 cents per kilowatt hour right now.
0.73. So it actually, I have another.
I wasn't able to run the millions and hundreds of thousands
Yeah.
in my head real quick, but it looked like off the scale, it was about 0.73.
Yeah, so wait, where did you see that one?
The graph with the projected bills.
Okay, oh yeah.
I didn't see any numbers specifically what we're paying per account for our energy at this point in time.
Yeah, that's not a straightforward answer. All of the accounts are set up differently depending on what type of facility it is. So for example, this is City Hall's. This is what the energy costs right here. That energy number right there, that is 3.2 cents right there. But as you can see, we have different things like for the worth, that's going to look different because you have on-peak, off-peak energy. They have the transmission, on-peak billing demand. All of the line items look different. And then you also have, for example, these ones, all of these have a different price associated with them, and they change month to month just based on what the market is doing and what consumers wants to charge for it. So that's not necessarily a straightforward answer on price per kilowatt hour because it varies greatly between building and from month to month.
Okay, that adds a lot more complexity to
Yeah.
everything that we're trying to decide on right now. It's nice to know that we would have some consistency if we did decide to move forward with this. I was curious why it was, and the one option you had, what you're proposing was the worth being the 20-year plan.
Yeah.
If we are generating electricity there, why is it that you would suggest that be the 20-year contract?
So that was what had came from Consumers Energy prior to the conversations about the biogas. That's particularly with option 2, that I don't remember the exact like details as to why, but that account uses so much energy that by the time all the rest of the accounts are off of the contract, that would be the only one essentially on that in the renewable energy program. But since it uses so much energy, it can be eligible while being the only account that we have on it. So that's why it has to be at that 20-year, because if we didn't, there would really not be another facility that can meet that eligibility, 1 million kilowatt eligibility for the program.
So there's no other individual accounts that would meet the requirement, basically?
No.
Okay. That makes a little bit more sense why that was the one that was proposed. I do like the staggering idea as far as it gives us an opportunity to try to implement something if we do decide to. I've mentioned before that I am interested in us trying to incorporate some solar panels when we're doing some of our improvement projects. I know Nathan Gaka reached out to the commission here recently about some strategies and planning the event here shortly. But yeah, I feel like there is a lot of opportunity for us to get on board. And like we've discussed before, solar panels are becoming cheaper and cheaper to produce as the technology advances, and is a very, it's trending right now. So yeah, I am interested in the staggering method. That's where I'm landing on things right now.
Other members of the commission, questions? Vice Mayor Eke?
First of all, thank you for this comprehensive presentation. I'm trying so much to, to get all of it. You've done amazing work, really. Thank you. And you're correct. We could be doing more than what we're doing, but this is a good start, right? So my understanding is that if we do the staggering and we sign on to this, that we're locked in terms of what we pay for the wattage, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, that 0.6%, that's what's up there. You would see that 0.64 cents in that bottom part of the bill where it says the Renewable Energy Program. Let me see if I can zoom it in right there. That's energy subscription right there. It would say whatever we used at 0.64 cents.
Okay.
Once the math is done based on how much the energy credit and capacity credit are, that will either equal to a premium or a credit, and then that will either increase or lower this overall charge, because we would still be getting all of these normal electric charges. It's just that 0.64 cents is the cost of maintaining the facility, essentially.
Across the various accounts.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
that's what I needed clarity on that. So it is across the, sort of.
Yeah, all the accounts signed up would be at that 0.64 cents.
Okay, that's it. That's it. Thank you.
Commissioner Alsager.
So the 0.64, would that get rid of some of the like on peak, off peak, or would that still be on there?
So as far as, to the best of my knowledge, all of those normal things would still be on there. Like we would have that off peak, on peak. All of those charges would still be normal. The only difference with the bill would be this separate renewable energy program chunk at the bottom showing a credit or premium.
Okay.
Question for you, and want to clarify. When you say 0.64 cents, that's 0.064.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The big thing, and I think part of the reason I've been interested in the continued discussion is that I can understand what you're saying. Could I explain it back to somebody? Is it like that?
It's a lot.
Struggle and everything. So I appreciate the amount of times you've come back before us at our request to go over this. And again, I think the members of the commission are very interested in this program, or again, at the very least, the goals of it. I think staggered approach probably will be best. Would be the best stewardship. I agree with you that the more that we can get off of fossil fuels, entirely, the better for our environment, for ourselves, and our health of the communities. But the solar field's going to get built regardless, which is the good thing. So our participation in that is, again, it helps us out with primarily in the savings also. Question for you, the credit, when we earn credits on this from Consumers Energy, is that something that is applied directly to our bill, or is that something that we can choose to receive back as like cash value potential? My thought process for myself is if we as part of this plan, be it staggered all at once, however we proceed, if we could potentially, choose to dedicate that, and we would continue to just pay regular cost, but the credits that we would receive, potentially putting that towards improving our own energy consumption. So programs such as biogas or potentially as solar panels.
I would have to confirm with consumers on it. As far as I know, it would just be on the bill. However, even consumers, they recommend this, that any savings that you get from this should be allocated towards developing your own renewable energy, like infrastructure, anything along those lines. I can confirm whether or not that's would come in the form of like a bill, or like we get the cash back on it, or if it can only be applied to the bill. Because if it's applied to the bill, then we would have to essentially just save the money out of our own pockets by what we could have been spending for electricity if we hadn't been on the program. But they do encourage that that'd be perfect use of savings from this, is developing our own stuff.
Let's see. Turning to other questions from members of the commission before I ask my next one. Could just to narrow it down again, most of the members of the commission, it sounds like, are interested in a staggered approach or comfortable with the staggered approach. Can you there was two, it was option 2 and option 4 were the two staggered approach. Could you just do a quick comparison of those two for us? Option 4 was the recommended, I believe.
Yeah.
But
so option 2, let me zoom in. Option 2 is it's 100% of our applicable accounts in the phased commitment, 5, 10, 15, and 20-year contracts. Each of those contract years would be 1.1 million, about 1.1 million kilowatt hours. This would be the highest ROI and highest carbon avoided between option 2 and option 4. Really the difference between option 2 and option 4 is that taking that 1 million off makes it cheaper than option 2. And it would still be over the full contract period. We would still be getting about 328,000 through option 4 back, like positive ROI over that full 20 years. But it's the cheapest way that we could do it while also still being eligible for the program. All of the pros are essentially the same. You're less tied to the program. Accounts are falling off over those 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It's just, you got to make a decision of, do you want to go for the more savings and more carbon avoided, or do you want to go for a cheaper, less financial investment from the city?
Gotcha. Okay. Thoughts on that from any other members of the commission? Okay. Staff has a recommended action that they have discussed with us. I think it sounds like, I think that is probably where most members of the commission are comfortable at this time. So we can probably work to get that back on the agenda to meet the deadlines that you had just described to us. My only final thought is, I imagine that this is has been your primary focus over the last several months. For your position.
Yeah.
I am not your boss, so I look to manager dissents and everything over there. I got a little bit of a yawn and everything. No, it's all good. I would be interested in potentially, evaluating a program that would reassign this, or in some form reassign the savings that we get from this into further investment into our energy resiliency here at the city of Mount Pleasant. So that's my kind of thought process on that, of things we could explore in the future.
And then just really quick, at the end of each year, we would be receiving I have a hard time saying the word that it is, attestation of how much renewable energy we have essentially generated with our that we're paying for, and then the savings that is. So at the end of each year, we get a document from Consumers Energy with the carbon avoided, financial impact, all that kind of stuff. So that could definitely help with figuring out what to do, how much it really is saving the city.
Okay. Thank you, Mason. I appreciate the work there. Any other questions? Not seeing any? You're good. It is 9:05 and there's no further business before the commission at this time, so we will stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Well, Everyone else is adjourned. I have like a million documents that staff.